Yeah, good morning, everyone. What I would like to talk today is about the PMP certification. So the first thing I want to start with, I think Paul already said enough about me, so I want to go straight to the topic. Now, everybody talks about PMP certification. Maybe some of you already have got it. If you want to know about it, it's really important. So let's go into the terms that the PMI uses before we do anything else. So PMP means Project Management Professional. PMI is the Project Management Institute. Now PMI is, of course, an organization, and PMP is a credential. PMP, this is the organization that writes and controls all the PMP examinations. PMP is a credential that is not for life, of course. It's valid for 3 years. And within these 3 years, you should add on to your knowledge, attend seminars, give back to the project management community, and so on, in order to gain more PDUs. And PDU is a professional development unit. And when we talk about PMP, we always refer to the PMBOK guide, and this is the clue word. This is what is changing now. The PMBOK guide, this is a guide to the project management body of knowledge, and we are now using the PMBOK 5. However, after March 26, all exams are going to be based on the PMBOK 6. There are so many changes, and as we said, the exam is going to become harder. So the PMBOK is the guide for the PMP exam. So why is it important to get PMP certified? What is the importance of this credential? Let's look at this. I mean, this is why it's important. Things speak for themselves. Like this is an ad that I took from Indeed, I think. And if you look at the ads, they say, project manager, PMP, Project Management Institute, PMI certified. This is a requirement that they need of a project manager. So now you see the importance of being PMP certified. This is another ad also, and it says project management certification strongly desirable. Also, this is a piece of information that maybe you ought to know, that the median salary of US-based respondents holding a PMP certification is $111,000 versus a median salary of $91,000 per participant without PMP certification. So you can see the difference in annual salary. And last, what is most important, that what summarizes the importance of PMP, is this excerpt that I got from, this is what you would see written when you pass your exam and get your certification. And this says that X has been formally evaluated for demonstrated experience, knowledge, and performance in achieving an organizational objective through defining and overseeing projects and resources, and is hereby bestowed the Global Credential Project Management Professional. So when you have this written on a certificate, and this is exactly, this description is exactly what employers want. They want to trust you with their projects. They want to make sure that you have the knowledge, that you have the experience, that you can actually lead their projects to success. So people ask, do I need the PMP? I work in a bank. Do I need the PMP? I work in a hospital. Now, as you know, in the past, when PMP first started to become popular, most people thought that it was only for people who work in construction. But let's see where you can use your PMP. And you, of course, you appreciate now that everything is project driven. So whenever you are talking about working in an organization that is project driven, you need a PMP credential. So the industries where you need your PMP credential are construction, healthcare, and everybody now understands the importance of PMP in healthcare. IT for sure, banking, aerospace, defense, sports, manufacturing. I forgot, I think there's many others. One of them is also marketing. You can come up with 100 industries where you can apply. You need to have a project management credential, and PMP is the most important one. When I say most important, it means you start with getting your PMP, and then you can move to getting any other certification from PMI that would be related. You could go and do the Agile, the PMI ACP, you can do the program management, portfolio, risk management, schedule management, and all the other certifications related to it. So now this is a general idea about what is PMP and why do you want to go for that exam? Why do you want to get certified? Now, why do you want to get certified with Starweaver? And why would you want to come and attend a course with me? During that course, we do not only establish a framework for the learning, which is very important. Now, this is the basic thing about training or teaching. You've got to establish a framework for the students or participants, something that they could fall back on. If whatever you're doing, you don't know the sequence of things, you don't know the origin of things, where things came from, you don't know where they're going to end up, it means you never pass anything because you're totally disoriented. So not only do we establish a framework for the learning in these trainings, but also we use this framework in the classroom and we perfect it by the end of the course. It means by the time you leave the course, you would have a very clear, not only understanding, but you know the framework by heart because we're going to be practicing it all the time. You should be able to trace any question you read to the knowledge part it relates to in the framework. And this is why, as I said, it is important to establish this framework and to know it by heart. So whenever you read the question, you can say, oh, this belongs to this area, and this belongs to this process group. And by knowing where it belongs, you will be able to think critically, and you'll be able to come up to guess the answer about any process that they ask about, any activity or scenario that usually is in a question. Now also, what I like to do in my trainings is hands-on applications that are used to fix the information and where participants interact with the material. It's not good enough sitting there and listening, because PMP stuff is a serious stuff. If you listen, all these words, all this new terminology, it's confusing. So the example that I have here is very simple, but as simple as it is, sometimes participants make some mistakes in it because of their maybe only a little gap in differentiating between a project and operations. But this is just an example. So this is what I do. There are hands-on applications. Even when you do a course online, it is possible to customize the material so that you can practice what we're talking about. Now, I want to tell you something. When you do PMP or whenever you work in a project, you're actually talking about processes. And for every process, there are inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. And this is what students struggle in when they take the exam. Now, what I do is make my focus on this part so big and so productive that by the time students leave the course, they know how to differentiate between all the inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs for the various processes. And then they leave all confident, and they will not get any of these questions wrong. I remember there was a student who told me, or a participant, I keep saying student, participant. I mean, we're all students, we're all studying every day, the rest of our lives, but still. She said, I swear, I think I got 30 questions all on inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs in the exam. So these are a very important part of the test. And this is what we make sure that you can perfect. It's no joke. You have to know this very well, and you will know it well. Also, the use of labeling exercises is very important, which I do a lot, because this helps you use the material that we're talking about, the diagrams, the registers, etc. Use lots of templates, and that I will ask the students to actually use in the classroom, practice, and see how they can interact with the material. And the more you practice, the more, first of all, you discover your gaps, and second, you'll become more familiar with the topic or with the material for PMP. And this is one of the training purposes, if you like, or objectives. Also, there's use of flashcards. I love flashcards, because if you use flashcards and you can answer your questions correctly, which you should, it means you've guaranteed 25 to 35% of the questions correct. And this is one of my objectives in these courses, is that by the end of the course, students should guarantee that they would answer 25 to 35% of the questions right. And if you think about the score, the passing score for the exam, now actually PMI does not say what is the passing score. Some people speculate it's 50, others it's 60%. So if you think that by the end of the course you have guaranteed that you'll be able to answer 25 to 35% of the questions correct, that is very, very good result, because you've only got the other half, or you've guaranteed even more than half to work on. And we will tell you exactly what is it that you need to do in order to continue your learning after you leave the course. So we will teach you the strategies to answer the PMP exam questions. You will be taught how to use your time wisely during preparation for the exam, because you don't want to go and deviate and go and use all sorts of books, useful or or not so useful, in order to sorry, a minute, just get the charger. So we will tell you what books, what references you should use, how much you should spend time on each one, what to do. You should be able to prepare for the exam in, let's say, 2 weeks minimum. You could stretch that to 1 month. It's up to you. The important thing is that you know what you're doing, because it depends whether you work full-time, you work long hours, and so on. So we tell you how to use your time wisely during the preparation for the exam and when you are taking the exam. Of course, as I said before, we make sure that the participants leave the course being able to answer 35% of the questions, and we provide them with all references that are needed to take the exam. Now, we have some bad news, which is the exam is changing after March 26, 2018. It is becoming harder. Why? Because they're adding more components to it. They are adding more components related to Agile. They're adding more components related to management of soft skills, and they are adding to those inputs, tools, and technique outputs that I talked about that really made all students, most students say, oh, I can't get these right, I cannot take the exam. So we used to have 619 ITTOs in PMBOK 5. Now, when the exam changes, that's going to be 1,400 ITTOs. So you can imagine how much more work you've got to do. Still, I have not mentioned yet that now you have numerous websites and references that you can use on the internet. You're going to find that if you delay taking the exam until after March 26th, there's not going to be so many references on the internet because people are still preparing. I mean, the PMBOK was made available for everyone not long ago, and so people are already preparing, but this is going to take time. You're not going to have an abundance of references on the internet. So what should you do? The best thing you should do, or what you should do, is register for the PMP preparation course as soon as possible to give yourself the chance to profit from the course, take your time to review, take the exam, and pass it. And if you follow our directions, you're definitely passed. You're guaranteed to pass the exam. Now, just very quickly, if you might ask, what is it needed for me to be eligible to take the PMP examination? If you have a bachelor's degree, you need to present proof of 4,500 hours of working in projects. This does not mean working as a project manager, of course. Not only project managers take the PMP exam. You could have worked only in the executing or only in the controlling or whatever. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, then you have to present proof of 7,500 hours of project work, of course, plus the course that you're going to be doing, which equals 35 PDUs, as it's 35 contact hours. So everything is easy when you know what you have to do, and we'll make sure to remind you of the things that you have to do that are related to the application, to the preparation, to exam taking. And that's it concerning the info from my part.